This video will demonstrate how to use the Google online book search for your own research purposes. Now, if you're not familiar with books.google.com, it's an incredible online resource that you should become more and more familiar with. What Google has done is they've approached a bunch of libraries throughout the United States and scanned in full text copies of the contents of these libraries. So that means you can actually search full text copies of books online, and you may even be able to view small portions of them. Now, I could talk about how great this is, or I could show you. So I'm writing a paper right now on Achilles killing the Trojan prince Troilus. So I'm going to type in two search terms, Achilles and Troilus. Now, the first things that come up here now are a bunch of things about Shakespeare. I'm only interested in the ancient legend, not Shakespeare, so I need something more specific here. I remember from lecture that Troilus was killed at the sanctuary of Thimbrian Apollo. Now, Thimbrian is a very specific search term, so with Achilles, Troilus, and Thimbrian as my search terms, I now get a much more relevant hits. So let's click on this top book. As we can see, this seems to be a chapter entitled Antiquity and Beyond. So it's got a lot of information here, and you can actually see the full page text here, and even scroll and view a few other pages. And my search terms have also been highlighted for me. So you can see immediately how useful this is. Now, I may only be able to view 2 to 3 pages around this for copyright reasons, but that's enough for me to find small specific facts. Maybe I've had this book and returned it, and I want to check a specific fact that I had looked up and forgot the page number, or Lord only knows, you'll have to experiment with this and find your own way of using it. Now, I just want to show you a few things about navigating in books.google.com. The first thing that I usually like to do is go to the right-hand column and click on Table of Contents, because after all, the table of contents will tell you a lot about the book. In this case, it tells me that this is an edited volume, and only that first chapter by Piero Boitani, Antiquity and Beyond, The Death of Troilus, has any relevance to my paper. Now, that means I really want that chapter, but it's only 20 pages of this book that's going to make me happy. So I may actually just be able to view this online, or I may not. It depends on copyright restrictions. But in an ideal world, I want to get my hands on this book. So if you go to the top left-hand part of the screen, you can click on a tab here called About This Book. And this is great because it gives you all the bibliographical information, title, author, edition, press, year, all the things that I need to cite this properly in my bibliography. All right, because you would never cite this by its hyperlink. This is a book that's made available online. It's not a web page. So you always need this information to cite this book properly, or to go get it in your own library, or to place an interlibrary loan request if your library does not have the book that you want. So this is showing us how useful this is already. What if we were to look at some other specific searches? For example, I'm going to click on this Sylvi 5. Alright, this seems to have dropped me into the middle of a commentary on the Roman poet Statius, and he wrote a collection of poems called the Sylvi. This one appears to be a commentary on Book 5. I want to know just how much maybe Statius talked about the Sylvi, or talked about Troilus rather, in the Sylvi. So I'm going to do a search within the book. And you can see here at the top right hand there's a very small search box. You can search within the book itself, and it looks like it really only comes up on a few pages here. Page 235 in the commentary, where we are right now, you can see that the highlighting abruptly stops. Alright, and if I go to page 30. Oh, all right. So in the middle of the second poem of this book in the Sylvae, we seem to have one brief reference to Troilus. So this may be a dead end for my paper, or it might just be one specific thing that I wanted out of this book. But what's clear to me is that I've been able to quickly make use of this book and be done with it online without ever having to go to the library itself or even worry if my library has this book. All right, so we're going to go back yet again. And we're still waiting for it to go back. Let's just do it this way. Do a full new search rather than going back. All right, so here we looked at the first book, we looked at the third book. Well, what about this one here? Eumusia, Ceramic and Iconographic Studies. Oh, that would be great if I was able to bring in actual Attic vase painting or Etruscan painting that actually depicted the death of Troilus. So maybe I want to look at this. Oh, now this book, apparently the publishers have decided that they don't want to make this available to you online. So you get this, what's called a little tiny snippet view. Well, it's just called a snippet view. Now that's not really enough for me to see if this is something I want. So one of the things I like to do in the event that I get a snippet view is do, again, text searches. So in this case, let's just see how often just Troilus comes up itself. So there are 4 pages in this book where the term Troilus comes up. And in the snippet view, we don't even get to see but a couple of them. So I'm not completely convinced that I need this book. It could just be an incidental mention. And in fact, you can see the publisher hasn't even given us access to the table of contents to decide. So I'm just going to wash my hands of this book. I know now I've looked at my library website and we don't have a copy of it, and so I don't think that I need to order a copy of it because it's not going to be all that useful either. So that concludes our lesson on how to use books.google.com. I encourage you just to get out there, experiment with searching, see what you can find available online, and discover new things that may not be in your library but that you want to get your hands on, and then go and interlibrary loan them and discover new works that way. Or in the event, as I said, that maybe you just need to check a fact, this is also a great place for you to quickly check facts. All of these books have been peer-reviewed, so it's a much safer place to find information than on just the World Wide Web itself. So thank you for listening, and good luck.